ESL 103 and 203, Listening 2, pages 179 to 181. Listening 2. You are going to listen to a discussion about being paid for getting good grades in college. Wouldn't that be nice? Before you listen, read the definitions, complete the sentences with the correct form of the words in bold. Decision. Decision. 3 syllables, stress is on the middle syllable. Decision. That's a Spanish cognate. It's a noun, a choice that someone makes after thinking about the options. Encourage. A verb, an action. To make someone more likely to do something. I encourage my husband to clean the house. I hope he does it. I make him more likely to do it by encouraging him. Come on, you can do it. Manage. Manage. Another verb, to control or organize something or someone. Minimum wage. Noun. The lowest pay for an hour's work that a worker can legally be paid. When I was in high school, my minimum wage, the minimum wage, was $6 an hour. I think it's gone up since then. Responsible. Another Spanish cognate. Let me try. Responsable. See? Okay, bueno. Adjective, showing good judgment and able to be trusted. Sense. If you have sense, a lot of times you'll hear common sense. A quality of being or feeling loyal, responsible, etc. So if you're a sensible person, that's an adjective. Sense is the noun. You have a lot of sense, or that makes a lot of sense. Services. Servicios. Noun, systems that supply things that people need. Go ahead and try 1 through 7 on your own. Pause the video here, then click play to reveal the answers. And the answers. Number 1. My teacher encouraged me to apply to college. I followed her advice and I'm going to graduate next month. If you give advice to someone, you encourage them to do something. Make sure you add the D here. She encouraged the student because they followed her advice. So past tense verbs. Number 2, Meg works at a restaurant for minimum wage. For usually goes along with minimum wage. They work for minimum wage. She doesn't make a lot of money, that's your context clue, but it pays her rent. 3, she is a hardworking and responsible student. Responsible was the only adjective in the list. So you know that it had to go before the noun student. She's hardworking, she is responsible. 4, I have trouble getting all of my work done on schedule. I need to learn to manage my time better. 2 blank means you know there's going to be a verb here. To encourage? No, we already used that. It must be the only other verb, manage. To manage my time better. Number 5, because they need to make money, many young people make the decision to work rather than go to college. A decision is something you make. Make a decision. 6, going to college while working part-time requires a strong sense of responsibility. The word responsibility is here, and the definition of sense includes the word responsible. So again, using those clues to help you. And finally, 7, my school provides many services, including tutoring and career counseling. Many means that this is going to be a plural noun, a noun with an S on the end. Service is singular, services is plural. Number 7, services. We're going to do 8.4 together. We're going to answer the question, should college students be paid for good grades? Listen to the introduction to the discussion and think about that question. We are making predictions about what arguments might be mentioned in the discussion. So again, you're only going to hear the beginning now, the introduction, and we're going to predict what do we think will be the for arguments and the against arguments. Let's give it a try.
In today's program, we discuss the recent decision made by several colleges to give students money in return for good grades. Students will be paid by the hour to take additional math and science classes. The students who improve their grades and keep their grade average high will be given cash rewards at the end of each semester. To discuss this new project, we have invited education expert Dr. Michael Burns, and we welcome your calls during the program. We'd like to hear your opinion. Do you think college students should be paid for good grades?
Okay. For the fours, I heard him mention something about math and science classes. So I think students will take new types of classes. If you told me I'll give you $100 if you take a math class, I am much more likely to take the math class. Another four is that students are motivated to perform well. If you get an A, you get $200. If you get a B, you only get $50. Okay, then I'll go for the A. What do we think some of the against points might be? I didn't really hear too specifically anything negative, but potentially, if college students get paid for good grades, students who work hard but score low don't get paid. Is that fair? They don't make as much money as the students who get the A's? I don't know. Let's try 8.5 now. We're going to listen to the entire discussion and write the arguments that the speakers mention in the chart. Underline the arguments that were the same as your predictions. So try this part on your own. Listen to 8.5. If you want to rewind the video and listen to it more than once, that's perfectly acceptable. And again, you're listening for arguments that the speakers mention. Now we are going to hear exactly what they'll say. These were just the predictions. This is the content from the dialogue. Try your best, and we'll go over the answers momentarily.
Dr. Burns, thank you for coming today. Can you tell us more about the project? Where does this idea come from?
Thank you. Well, the idea of paying students for their work isn't new. For example, in some high schools in New York City and Memphis, Tennessee, students are paid $40 a month for good attendance and are paid extra for good grades. They also get $50 for taking a college entrance exam. The goal of these programs is to encourage students to finish their education and be able to get a good job in the future. Many students who fail or drop out do so because they come from low-income families. They might have to work after school and on the weekends to help support the family. Because of that, they often have no time to study. We want to make sure that all students have the same opportunities in their future.
I see. Let's hear from our first caller. Miriam Hassan is the president of a medium-sized university. Dr. Hassan.
Hello. Yes, I recently read about this new program, and I really don't think it's a good idea. I understand that many students drop out of college because of financial problems. At my college alone, the dropout rate is over 25%. However, will paying students really encourage them to continue? In my experience, it won't. Of course, the statistics are terrible, but I'm not confident that this program will solve the real problems. It may just cover them up. I think the money would be better spent on student services, like hiring additional professors and advisors. Two of the reasons why students drop out are stress and poor time management. Advisors can help students learn to manage their time better. As a consequence, students will do better in school and will be more likely to graduate.
I can see your point, but we have already spent a lot on student services. I think that paying students to study will show them that we treat them like adults. It will give them a sense of responsibility. College students are young adults, and so when they have a choice between staying in college and studying or going to work and making money, they often make the wrong choice. They want to have money so that they can buy things for themselves. Besides, we don't want to pay them a lot. I think we're simply giving them an option. Stay in school and be paid, or get a minimum wage job.
Christine Thorne is a parent with 2 children in college.
Hello. I was very worried when I heard about this new program. I realize that students need encouragement to stay in school, but are we going in the right direction? First of all, I feel that we're sending the students the wrong message. Learning should be about studying new things and being responsible. Personally, I think the students who aren't interested in studying will simply take the easy courses to keep their average grade high and get the cash. I believe that we should focus more on rewarding excellent schools and teachers and not on students who might be lazy.
These are all good points, but I don't think that this view applies to all students. Not all parents are educated or interested in studying. They pass this bad attitude on to their own children. Then the children don't see the benefits of learning. To change this image, we need to show them a good reason for studying.
Thank you. Let's have a look now at some of the comments we've received during the program.
There were many arguments made, both for and against this idea of paying students. Let's look at some of the possible examples you might have written down. Under 4, this gives students time to study. They are literally being paid to study, so it gives them more time. Make sure all students have the same opportunities. They talked about how some students have to choose between working a minimum wage job or going to class, and this way they can make money as they're furthering their education. It makes students responsible, and it gives students a financial motivation to study. The against column, the negative aspects of this plan, it won't solve all problems. The woman mentions that she doesn't like this idea because it's only kind of putting a band-aid on something that really needs more attention than that. Money can be used for services instead. She says that students need help managing their stress, and the money should instead go towards hiring more counselors. And finally, students will take easier classes to get good grades. This is a great idea. I wish I had thought of this up ahead in the earlier exercise. Students are going to take very easy classes so that they can study less and get paid more to get good grades. Did I have any of these ideas? I said they were motivated to perform well, and I'm underlining the arguments that were the same as my predictions. Students will take new types of classes. Did they talk about that? No, not really. And the against, I said students who work hard but score low don't get paid. They didn't really talk about those students. They mostly focused on the issue itself. Oops. 8.6, listen to part of the discussion again. Write the numbers you hear and what the numbers refer to.
Dr. Burns, thank you for coming today. Can you tell us more about the project? Where does this idea come from?
Thank you. Well, the idea of paying students for their work isn't new. For example, in some high schools in New York City and Memphis, Tennessee, students are paid $40 a month for good attendance and are paid extra for good grades. They also get $50 for taking a college entrance exam. The goal of these programs is to encourage students to finish their education and be able to get a good job in the future. Many students who fail or drop out do so because they come from low-income families. They might have to work after school and on the weekends to help support the family. Because of that, they often have no time to study. We want to make sure that all students have the same opportunities in their future.
I see. Let's hear from our first caller. Miriam Hassan is the president of a medium-sized university. Dr. Hassan.
Hello. Yes, I recently read about this new program, and I really don't think it's a good idea. I understand that many students drop out of college because of financial problems. At my college alone, the dropout rate is over 25%. However, Will paying students really encourage them to continue? In my experience, it won't. Of course, the statistics are terrible, but I'm not confident that this program will solve the real problems. It may just cover them up. I think the money would be better spent on student services, like hiring additional professors and advisors. Two of the reasons why students drop out are stress and poor time management. Advisors can help students learn to manage their time better. As a consequence, students will do better in school and will be more likely to graduate.
And the answers are here. The number 40 was included in the phrase, students are paid $40 a month for attendance. Not bad. The number 50 meant students get $50 to take a college entrance exam. 25. The dropout rate at Dr. Hassan's college is 25%. 2. Two reasons students drop out are stress and poor time management. Post-listening, last section. Look at the excerpts from the discussion. Circle the correct answer to the question after each excerpt. I understand that many students drop out of college because of financial problems. However, will paying students really encourage them to continue? This second half is kind of casting doubt on the first idea. However, means this is the opposite, right? Is paying students really going to help? Really? The speaker thinks that. What do you think? A or B? I'll give you a moment to read them over. Paying students who drop out of school is not what they're talking about. They're saying paying students for good grades will not solve the problem. Next excerpt. I can see your point, but we have already spent a lot on student services. What does the speaker think? Well, they're saying that they have already spent a lot on student services. So there's no point in spending even more money. This was tricky. The word more makes it valid. If they said there is no point spending on student services, there's no point spending money, then it would be incorrect. But they don't want to spend more than they already have. And 3. I realize that students need encouragement to stay in school, but are we going in the right direction? The speaker thinks paying students for good grades, what? By asking the question, are we going in the right direction? Remember, but is showing the opposite. Students need encouragement, but she doesn't think this is the way to do it, right? She thinks this might be a mistake. Now underline the phrases that are used to show that the speaker understands the other person's point of view. These are signposting phrases that show, yeah, I get it, I understand. However, then circle the words that are used to show that the speaker is going to give a different point of view. In the first excerpt, she says, yeah, sure, I understand that many students drop out of college. What's the opposite here? She understands their point. However, she doesn't think that's really going to make a difference. Same thing down here. What's another way of saying I understand? I can see your point. I can see your point, but here's the opposite. So it's a nice phrase to use. I can see your point, but I disagree with you, and here's why. And finally, I realize that students need encouragement to stay in school. I realize that, but are we going in the right direction? For the discussion, think about question number 2. Do you think college students should be paid to go to college? How about high school? Even millionaires? Why or why not? Something interesting to consider.